Greetings world, we are Anonymous. Here we stand yet again, on what may be the most important issue facing the internet today. Net neutrality has once again come under attack, this time by large internet service providers and the head chair of the Federal Communications Commission. Ajit Pai, the former corporate Verizon lawyer Ajit Pai, thinks the end of network neutrality would be innovative and a good idea. Now his plan would ensure a radical impending of how the internet has worked in the US since its inception. The main objective is to end net neutrality and change the way you access and pay for the internet in the near future. In other words, a pay-to-play framework will be implemented, at which time, total control and censorship will become mainstream and legal in our everyday lives. We of Anonymous stand firmly against any changes against net neutrality and the free flow of information on the internet. With all of your support, we can show the FCC that we will not stand idly by, while access to our internet content is blocked, slow to crawl and is ultimately held for ransom. All the while, these so-called FCC rules and controls, meant to enforce regulation, are purposely being ignored by the Federal Communications Commission, ignored by 265 bribed members of the United States Congress, and finally bought off and sold out by the money-hungry CEOs of the top internet service providers in America. They all gain to benefit from ending net neutrality, while we the average citizen suffers to pay for it. The FCC has recently failed to prevent any internet service providers from lobbying against net neutrality legislation. The FCC has failed to prevent the abolishment and/or complete replacement of regulations pertaining to net neutrality under Title II, and is slowly being repealed by a persuaded United States Congress. Each one of these members of Congress have been found to have taken contributions in the form of bribes from some of the largest internet service providers in the country. This is not only illegal, but goes to show how the U.S. government and large corporations truly conduct business in themselves on a regular basis. This action is meant to fast-track any billing to law that suits their agenda. We of Anonymous strongly oppose this agenda. In fact, so should you. Remember, the internet itself is not controlled by the government. However, the access to the internet is controlled by internet service providers who are governed by the FCC. The Federal Communications Commission is an independent agency of the United States government, created by statute to regulate interstate communications by radio, television, wire, satellite and cable. Network neutrality is usually defined as the principle that internet service providers should treat all online content equally, without blocking or slowing down specific websites on purpose or allowing companies to pay for preferential treatment. A prominent example of non-net neutrality involved the United States internet service provider Comcast, which has been accused of slowing down competitors' services such as Netflix, while giving preference to its own similar services. In 2007, Comcast, according to the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, deployed equipment throughout its network to monitor the content of its customers' internet connections and selectively specific types of internet connections known as peer-to-peer connections. It was brought to light by Comcast subscribers who noticed that they had problems using peer-to-peer applications, such as BitTorrent, over their Comcast broadband connections. When first confronted with press reports about these difficulties, Comcast disclaimed any responsibility for its customers' problems. Later, Comcast changed its story and admitted that it did target its subscribers' peer-to-peer traffic for interference. Comcast recast its position yet again and admitted that it interferes with peer-to-peer traffic, and regardless of the level of overall network congestion at the time and regardless of the time of day. Such applications, including those relying on BitTorrent, provide internet users with the opportunity to view high-quality videos that they might otherwise watch and pay for on cable television. Such video distribution poses a potential competitive threat to Comcast's video-on-demand service. This was just one of many examples of how large ISP networks throttle and monitor your data. If net neutrality is allowed to fall, streaming from the highest bidder will be a new normal in America. Non-mainstream media sources from across the spectrum would no longer be able to afford to compete in the marketplace of ideas, as most productive ideas come from the average person and not those whose goal it is to make a profit. Real people create ideas. Wealthy people steal and exploit those same ideas. Any social media platform on the internet today proves examples of this. All online streaming content, video libraries and online video chats would no longer be protected from blocking or access fees. Fees that passed on down to all of us, the consumer, forced to pay to play by tier, level or package. This would limit your bandwidth to what you can afford and not to what is currently available, meaning if you can't afford fast lane internet and twice the price, then you'll be missing out. This is not fair. Not only does this discriminate against those who can barely afford their bills, such as students, low-income families, the elderly and the unemployed, but it will dramatically hurt small business owners trying to sell to consumers. Small business websites who don't pay to be in the fast lane will find themselves out of business. Most people tend to stay away from long-loading websites, buffering videos and slow media downloads. Only the ones who pay to play will be allowed to continue. This will shrink competition and allow larger businesses and ISPs to dominate the market, giving you less choice to switch to another company or ISP with a lower price. This is their plan. This will also give the President of the United States reaching powers to shut down, block or limit bandwidth speeds to certain websites such as WikiLeaks, 4chan, Reddit, or any other site deemed necessary to restrict. Paid subscription-based platforms such as Netflix, Hulu Plus and YouTube Red are already available, but may become unusable to some customers due to slower internet speeds. Websites such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube could start blocking certain hashtags and links to other websites who are in direct competition with one another. ISPs could throttle access to these sites and offer certain packages at an extra monthly fee to get you back to a normal speed. Would you still use these media platforms if you had to pay for them? The answer is a resounding no. Net neutrality must remain in place as a free open source utility and not just another product that can be exploited for financial gain. We of Anonymous stand with the American people. We reject this form of control and censorship and will defend the free flow of information on the internet. We of Anonymous call to action, all Anons and supporters, to fight for net neutrality and all it represents. It represents you the people. It represents our freedom of speech and our very way of life. Fight for what matters. Fight on the side of internet freedom and defeat the FCC before December 14th. Contact Congress and flood them with your concerns. Sign the petition. Don't just sit there and let them take away your internet freedom. Do your part, and we promise to do ours. We have provided all relevant information links below. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.